Aloha, hey, it's Julie Zemelis for 365 Hawaii, and I am here today with a very special guest, Andy Madrid, and he is a fellow Keller Williams Big Island agent, and he specializes in the south part of Hawaii Island, and we're going to be asking him some questions about what life is like down there when you feel like you want to buy a home or a piece of land, and he is going to give us the honest answers. So, so first of all, let's start with, tell him a little bit of background about who you are as an agent and where you came from a little bit to get some idea of who Andy Madrid is.
Okay, so hey, good morning. I'm Andy Madrid, and I've been a real estate agent since the market crash of 2000, and right as we were coming out of the market in 2010. And I was a broker in Oregon, selling in Southern Oregon, and then relocate back to Southern California, which is where I'm from, and sold real estate there in the Santa Barbara area. And then about 4.5 years ago, came to Hawaii and have been a real estate agent here.
Right, and you live right now in?
I live in the district of Ka'u in the neighborhood of Hawaiian Oceanview Estates.
So that's the reason why we're having him talking now, too, because he lives in that area. So we're not making this stuff up. He actually lives there and sells a lot of real estate there. In fact, Andy's one of the top agents in the country for selling houses down there. He also sells houses around the whole island. We'll say that. But when we talk to Andy, it's usually because we've had someone call us and say, I found a piece of cheap land in South Hawaii. Will you sell it to me? And I say, you know what? Let's put that over to Andy because he actually works that area. And Andy usually gives people the lowdown on what it is that they're looking for. So we're going to give you guys the opportunity to get that information before you start looking at buying a house down in South Hawaii. So what is the big question you usually get from most of the people who are trying to call you and ask you about, buying homes and land down in South Kona, which your
Oh, the first one they're going to ask me is, they'll call about a piece of property, and it could be $7,000 or $10,000 or $20,000. And the first thing they want to know is it still available? Mm-hmm. And I always tell them yes, because a lot of times it is, although a lot of that property sells really quickly. Mm-hmm. And then we just have a couple of back and forth. Tell me about what kind of property you're looking for. And the people are calling because of the price point. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. Mm-hmm. And usually the next question I'm going to ask them is, have you ever been to Hawaii? Yeah.
and we laugh, you guys, because seriously, as you might know, there's 13 different climate zones on this island, and South Hawaii has its own completely different climate zone than Kona or Hilo, and so it's very rural, right?
It's very rural. So in my neighborhood of Hawaiian Oceanview Estates, it's the largest subdivision on the planet. It's 11,900 parcels of land, and it was developed in the early 60s, and some famous people own land there. Lucille Ball bought property there at one point. The gentleman, it was a NASA guy, invented Cool Whip. He owned property there. But and it was all dirt roads, and now it's all paved. It's a lot better, but it's rural. It's an hour outside of Kona. And so people don't really know too much about the area, because most people's idea of Hawaii is either what they saw on TV, or they said, yes, I've been to Hawaii, and it's always, I've been to Honolulu, or I've been to Waikiki. And it's rare that on a typical phone call I'd get someone that says, oh yeah, I've been to the Big Island, I know exactly where that is. Although I do get it, but most of the time people don't know.
Right. So when we talk about being in South Hawaii, it's not just an hour south of Kona. It's to get to Kona, it's 2-lane, windy, small freeway. I mean, so there's no quick way of getting around from those areas out to where people actually do business and work in Hilo or in Kona, right?
Right. The average speed limit, or the typical speed limit, posted speed limit, is 35 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. Although a lot of people go 40, some people go 50, and they'll pass on the road on the wrong side. They'll pass on a shoulder. They'll pass over the solid yellow line because everybody's trying to get to work. So much of, we're seeing with home prices here in the Kona area increasing as much as they are, a lot of people are moving to those more rural areas. And you've got the Ocean View area, which is where I'm at. You've got the areas in Volcano. You've got Mountain View and Curtistown. People that are getting either priced out of those, or just because a lot of those neighborhoods offer larger pieces of land at a more modest price point.
Right. Okay.
You're typically going to get an acre. Start an acre and then go up from there. acre to 3 acres is typical for
Right.
what people are looking for out
And
there.
and if you're watching this for the first time too, one of the reasons everyone's flocking to Hawaii Island in general is because it is it is the most affordable place to buy homes and land in the Hawaiian Island chain at this point.
Our median price point's half of looking like Oahu or Maui.
Right. So people say, well, if I can't afford to live in Maui, then I'm going to see what this $50,000 piece of property looks like in South Hawaii, right?
Right.
All right. Or I get the phone calls of, I just found a house for $132,000 in Mililui. Help me buy that house. And I'm like, have you ever been to Hawaii before? No. So let's preface what the landscape looks like in a lot of these places.
Okay. So we'll start where my neighborhood is, Oceanview. And the first time I saw it, it reminds me of the moon. And it's sort of this stark beauty. You leave the lush tropical of Kona and you head south like towards Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. And you get to this neighborhood that was a big lava rift zone. That it's just, it looks like the moon, you know. And it's, well, over the years, it's gotten more and more populated, but it's very sparsely populated. And a lot of what we call a'a lava, the real sharp, jagged lava that you'll see. And there's a few things down there. We have a grocery store. We have a couple of them now. 3 gas stations, a hardware store. There was a gym, but it just closed. Veterinarian down there, a few places to eat. So it's growing.
Like an LL.
An LL barbecue. The one thing about Oceanview is it's sort of equidistant drive-wise between Hilo and Kona. So it's sort of a natural sort of place that's growing. And I do think, I would jokingly tell people, I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to have a McDonald's and a Starbucks.
Really?
We don't have as much infrastructure. We have no sewage system.
Yeah, oh, that's another thing you should want to tell them. I just got a question from somebody today. He didn't understand what catchment was. What's the story with that on this island?
So once you leave South Kona, or once you leave Kona proper, pretty much everything's going to be on catchment, which is a big steel tank in your yard, typically. Can be anywhere from 5,000 gallons or 10,000 gallons and larger. It's important to know that 10,000 gallons would be a requirement if you were going to buy a house and get a bank loan. They're going to want a 10,000 gallon tank.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter how much rain you're going to get. But pretty much outside of Kona, then you're on catchment. So it lands on your roof, goes in your rain gutters, which feed into a piping system, PVC pipe, and then it'll flow into your tank. And then it's a well pump, just like you would living on a well, and it pumps that water back into your house. And then various types of filters, UV filters, regular filters, filter on your refrigerator. A lot of people have an RO system under their sink, and then they can drink out of the water.
Okay. And so there is a level of understanding how to use catchment and clean up the tanks and stuff. And there's all kinds of information that we can drop into.
Oh yeah, there's lots of.
So it's not too scary to have a catchment tank. But when people talk about county water, that's because the county actually helps with a large well that they pump into your house, which we have here in West Hawaii. But there's no other option besides catchment when we're talking about that area, right?
Well, there are a handful of communities that offer piped water.
Okay.
Once you get on the very south end of the island, you have a community called Discovery Harbor. And Discovery Harbor is like a golf course community, and those lots are like 14,000 square feet. And new construction, a lot of retired people live down there. They're all on piped water.
Okay.
And then an area adjacent to that called Mark Twain Estates is a mix.
Okay.
They don't issue any new meters there, so if you bought a property with a meter, you get one. If you don't, you're on catchment.
Okay.
Mark Twain Estates. And then going then over to the other side of the island in the eastern sides of like Hawaiian shores, Hawaiian beaches, those neighborhoods have got piped water. But outside of that, everybody else is catchment.
Curtistown Volcano?
Curtistown, Volcano, Eden Rock.
Okay.
Royal Hawaiian Estates, all catchment.
Okay. So that way you guys see those names, those subdivisions, you know what you're going to do in terms of catchment on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then the question then goes to when people are buying on some of that land, there's some lava zone experiences to deal with, right?
Right.
So tell us a little bit about lava zones and what that usually encompasses in that area as well.
Right. So there are 9 lava zones on the Big Island, although really there's only 4 or so that people really pay attention to. Lava Zone 1 is the riskiest, and that's going to be, like if anybody saw the YouTube videos or remember the eruptions of 2018, and you can go online to YouTube and look at Kilauea 2018 eruption, and it came up right in the middle of Leilani Estates. That's lava zone 1. High risk lava zone, beautiful part of the island. It's probably my favorite subdivision on the Big Island, but it comes with a significant risk that, you know, the lava could just erupt in your backyard.
Right, and now it comes with a significant lava lake, a river in the middle of the subdivision as well.
Yeah.
and a couple of cinder cones.
Right. It's really, really a pretty area, but yeah. So you have lava zone 1, then lava zone 2. Lava zone 2 would be the next riskiest, and you'll see those in pretty much in South Kona, past Kona Paradise, the neighborhood of Kona Paradise, all the way down to the south end of the island, where then it jumps to a lava zone 3 and lava zone 6. Those are pretty much safe as terms of insurability would go. Maybe what most people think.
Now,
of that.
Volcano Village. That's what lava zone is that?
Like
in?
3.
It's a 3. Okay,
Yeah.
because it really hasn't been inundated with lava.
Yeah, Volcano Village itself hasn't been.
Yeah, so it's a pretty safe place.
Right. What happens is all of the lava runs underground into the East Rift Zone, which would be the whole Puna area. And then that sort of Hawaiian beaches, Hawaiian shores, Leilani Estates specifically,
Yeah.
and Kalapana Gardens,
Right.
that area. That's where all that got inundated.
Yep. And again, just so you guys, if you don't know about volcanoes, I didn't realize that I did not really understand it all until I saw Fissure 8 open up in the middle of Leilani Estates, that these fissures open up. So it's not actually the lava flowing from the top running down, is that all of a sudden it starts to pop up in someone's neighborhood with some steam, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and all of a sudden it opens up, and all of a sudden lava can start to flow. And
Right.
that's what a rift zone actually does to people. And I realized that with Mauna Loa, that it cut a big slice out of near the airport a long time ago in the middle of the mountain, and started coming up and pouring
Yeah.
down. So when you guys are thinking how far are you away from the caldera, that has nothing to do with it.
Right. So, I mean, some people, it's a risk people have to wrap their head around. I mean, we're living on an active volcano.
Yep.
You're moving to Hawaii, you're living on a volcano. You know, so just some of these areas statistically have a higher, there's a higher, I
Risk.
guess, risk that lava, you know, there could be some lava inundation. And what comes with that is higher cost of homeowners insurance.
Right.
When we talk about buying homes that are permitted or getting a bank loan on, you got to carry insurance. In lava zone 2 and lava zone 1, they're extremely expensive. In lava zone 2, you know, it's very, very expensive still. I mean, even a modest home that might only be a couple $100,000 could cost you $5,000 or $6,000 annually to insure.
Right.
You know.
Right. When some people, and so we kind of, when people say, oh, how can they sell that house for $200,000? It's because you have to pay cash. You know, there's a lot of the cash buying ones because of permitting. Issues. So
right.
to say about that, because that all kind of goes together with the lava zone and the permitting, and why these houses sometimes are less expensive than other places on the island.
Right. So it was interesting. I had a conversation with the building department, and upwards of 90% of the homes on the island have some level of unpermitted improvement. And that could be stairs, railing, they framed in a lanai, they added a bathroom, but some houses are completely built without permits. And the reality is you could buy inexpensive land, and some people, they got to put a roof over their head. So the only way that they're going to be able to afford to do that is by building a property without getting appropriate building permits. The reality is a lot of people do it. In the worst case scenario would be that the building department could force you to tear it down or bring it up to code. Will it really happen? Who really knows? But some of these properties, I mean, if you got 2 or 3 acres out in the middle of nowhere, who's really going to do anything?
Right. And until the county decides to crack down on those people.
Exactly.
Right. So that's the
exactly.
risk that you take from buying an unpermitted home as well, right?
Right. So things that people need to be aware of. They find a house online and someone says, "Oh, I found that house for $200,000 or $150,000," you know, and I can pretty much guarantee that it's probably not permitted.
Right.
So what does that mean?
Or in a lava zone.
Right. Means you can't get insurance on it.
Right.
You can't get a bank loan on it. If you need to sell it because you had to buy it with cash, your only option for a buyer is going to be somebody with cash. You know, those are the big caveats. And the reality is a county could tell you to tear it down. Now, if you found a permitted home or an unpermitted home that has electricity, there's no guarantee that electricity is going to stay there.
No.
Because the power company could take the meter at any time.
Oh, I didn't know
Because because there's no grandfathering in or anything. They could just yank the meter.
Oh, God.
So I used to tell people, you're going to buy the property, it has electricity now. There's no guarantee that will stay in place. I just met with buyers that want to look at a property that is unpermitted, and in the private remarks, the power for that property was pulled from the adjacent property completely. Not the way to do it.
Yeah.
And their comment said, and upon the close, the power is going to be removed. Okay, so now the buyer's like, oh, let's scratch that one, because now they got to go through this whole gyration of, well, I got to buy solar, and I got to put that whole system in.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, you guys. There's a lot of houses that are actually completely off grid.
There's a lot, and those permitted homes are completely off grid.
Yeah, there's a lot of off grid houses down there. Yeah,
there's a lot, and you would because electricity. I mean, I got my electric bill. It's like $500.
Yeah. And if you haven't heard any other stories about what we talk about with Hawaii Island, our energy costs are some of the highest in the nation.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people who move here and they want to go on solar, and they have all the inclination of saying off grid. Catchment, you got your water. You got your solar, you got your electricity taken care of. Cesspool, you've got your sewer taken care of. But that also leads to another problem, is that the county is also trying to cut down on the amount of cesspools we have on this island.
Right. So there was a bill or ordinance that was set to require all homes on cesspool to be moved to septic by 2050. But I think what's happening is the county's realizing that the reality is how are people going to pay for it?
Right.
They can't just say, you have to put a septic tank in, because the homeowner's going to say, yeah, but I'm on a fixed income. I'm living on Social Security. How do I spend $15,000 or $20,000? I can't do it. So I think, in my opinion, I think what's going to happen is we're going to see some kind of change or accommodation made for that. And the reality is what does that mean? If we start accommodating all of these homeowners that can't move, then why do we have an ordinance or a bill in the first place for it?
Well, they're looking at maybe bond issues, or have the federal government kind of help people who are low income, help pay for that. That's what that's what I heard. That's what they're trying to do. But if you're knowingly buying a piece of land and putting up new construction and not handling the sewage problem, that's not cool either.
Right. So in 2015, the county put a ban on homes with cesspools. You couldn't build a new construction with a cesspool. So I do see properties come up for sale that it was built in 2022, but it's on a cesspool. And it really, it's kind of a bummer. It really frustrates me, because it's like we want to protect the INA. We want people to be able to afford homes, but we want them to be responsible as well, And I'm not going to be the morality police, but I tell buyers, if you're looking at this property, that you need to understand that it doesn't have an approved wastewater system, and you would be required to take it out. And we're just seeing a lot more of that. I'm really have stepped up to make sure that buyers really understand what the incidental cost or ancillary cost could be to do that. Because it could happen really right after they bought. Right.
And then they're on the hook for $25,000 in upgrading systems. So in that, you and I were having this conversation one time about you think you're buying a cheap piece of land, but what you might not know is you have to get the excavator, you have to get the da-da-da-da-da. Can you tell some people, if they decide to buy a piece of land, let's say out in Eden Rock, where it's full of, overgrowth, it's called natural vegetation.
Right.
What steps do they have to do to actually get to the point where they can actually make it shovel ready? Right? Because some people have these great ideas that they're going to just carve out a little piece of that land, put a yurt in the middle, and call it good.
Well, right. If you're buying in a neighborhood where it's heavily forested, you got to get it clear. The one thing about it being heavily forested is you're probably going to have some soil, which is good, but you're going to still have to get all of that vegetation cleared. I've gotten estimates $4,000 to $5,000 to clear vegetation in not even a whole acre, just enough to get your driveway in and get your house pad built. And that doesn't even mean the disposal. They would take that vegetation and throw it off to the side. They're going to leave it on your property because it's additional cost to haul that away, and it's typically not nearby. So let's say that you take my neighborhood, for instance, which a lot of that lower price property is going to be just on a lava field, and you're going to have a little bit of vegetation. Ohia trees here, a couple of palms, some ferns, but not a whole lot. So you bought this land and great, I bought it for $10,000. Now you got to get a driveway and a house pad in. That's going to cost you about $9,000.
Okay.
I just got new estimates for doing that. So you get your driveway in and you get your house pad in for $9,000. and you bought your land for $10,000. Now you got to put a cesspool, or I'm sorry, you got to put a septic tank in. Okay, the starting price on a septic tank is about $8,000.
Okay.
You know, and that's going to get you enough for like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath place. If you want to get any bigger, they're going to be more.
Okay.
Okay, then you got to get your water catchment tank in.
Okay, how much is that?
About $9,000.
Okay, $9,000.
Right.
Okay.
You know, you spend all that money and you don't even have a roof over your head. You haven't even delivered any lumber. You know, and now you got to start building. And how are you going to build? If you're going to build with permits, then that's a whole process.
Right, and getting the permitting through the county process can take a very long time.
There are 5,600 or more permits backlogged. So the approval process from start to finish is about 16 months.
Okay, 16 months, you guys, and that's just when you've put your plans into the county.
Right.
Right. Okay, then what happens? So now your plans are approved. Now you have to get somebody who wants to build your house or
Right.
get stuff up to the place.
Right.
And that's another thing. People don't, again, you guys sometimes don't realize how far away these places can be from the city centers. So you're going to pay little extra sometimes to have things driven down to you and dropped off for you, right?
I mean, there are companies like HPM and Honsador that will deliver the home package to the site, and they actually do it for a pretty reasonable cost. But then who's going to build it?
Yeah.
You know, you don't hire a contractor to do it, you're going to do it yourself. In Hawaii, you can be the owner builder, but that doesn't always work for people. People are living on the mainland still. They think they're going to build their Hawaiian dream home, and how are they going to do it if they're not here?
Right.
Getting contractors here, getting anybody to work, the problem's just exacerbated. The same issues that we see on the mainland, it's even more here.
Yeah, trying to get people to work
limited
and show
resource.
up.
Yeah, we have that kind of issue here.
Yep.
The building, I was like, again, it goes back to you spent $9,000 or $10,000 on a piece of land, but you're probably into it for, 40 or 50 grand before you've done anything. You know, I sold a piece of property to a gentleman about a year and a half ago, $17,500. I remember for that acre, nice acre. He bought 2 of them side by side, and on his 1 acre, he's got his $17,500. His house is now moved in. He's got a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 500 square foot lanai, unpermitted. He's into it for 150 grand.
Oh boy. Okay, and that's for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath.
1-bedroom, 1-bath.
So basically a tiny home.
It's a tiny home.
That you can theoretically
buy. Unpermitted.
Okay, because there's 90,000 tiny homes, $90,000 tiny homes you can put on a trailer and have it built in Kona, and you can drive it up there and just dump it on the land.
You could.
Okay.
Yeah, but so you say you're $90,000, but I'm guessing that's just a shell. That's not finished.
No, that's finished.
It's
I've seen it
finished?
$90,000.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. But it's like a giant trailer.
Right.
Right. So you're gonna have to build your own lanai out if you want to have some.
Yeah, you got to
space
build your own
out.
lanai out. You're gonna have to get your land and
you have to connect it to the sewer and that.
Right.
Yeah.
So this gentleman, I told you, he's in for 150. I mean, that's everything. That was his all in. That was his lanai. That was all of his stuff. That was his finishes and his appliances and everything.
Okay.
I mean, he was ready to go.
Yeah.
And that was all cash money in his pocket.
Yeah.
If I had $150,000, I might take 40 or 50,000 and put that down on a down payment.
Yeah. And actually get a house.
And buy a permitted home.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. That have you noticed that sometimes these people, you kind of give them all this background information, and don't they sometimes throw their hands up in the air and say, "Can you just show me a house that's already built?"
Yes. And some people, I just sold 4 acres to a family that's moving here from the mainland that they're going to build their own home.
Nice.
He's a contractor.
Okay.
So thinks he's ready to go, and I applaud them to do it. I'm too old.
And you know what? That's another thing too. That if you're a contractor and you think you know how to do this, I will say though that there's a little level of who you know in this town
Oh, absolutely.
to not get screwed by people giving you the mainland price of something, and also to actually show up and do the work. Right.
Right. I think if people are going to buy inexpensive land, don't try to get it all done from the mainland. Don't say, I want to talk to somebody that tells me how much it's going to cost to do my driveway. I want to talk to somebody that's going to give me some price on how to build my house. Because, quite frankly, these guys are busy. They don't want to talk to you over the phone. How do you get your best price and how do you get your stuff done? You come and you sit down face to face and talk story. That's how you get things done.
Right.
And God, everybody needs a vacation anyway. I always tell people, have you seen have you seen this part of the island, or have you been here? They tell me no. I'm like, you need a vacation anyway. Come on out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because It might sound like a flippant thing to say, but really it weeds out a lot of the dreamers that think, yeah, I could do that, but we're in this job to help people get into homes, and obviously the flip side of that is we make money too, and we really want to work with people that are really have an understanding, or that we know we can help get there,
right.
and not the ones that are just sort of, I was flipping through Facebook and I saw this piece of property for sale, and I'd had too many margaritas and now I want to buy some land.
Yeah. And it's not even just the land. It's these super cheap little houses that are unpermitted, sitting on a block of lava. When people say, I found a house on Zillow for $200,000, and then they call you and say, what's the story why this house is $200,000? You're going to say.
Well, it's location. I mean, it's the same thing goes here as it does on every other location, or every city you're selling. It's location, location, location. So why is it so inexpensive? Well, it's generally farther out from services, whether it's medical, whether it's food and groceries, it's shopping. It's going to be that. It's going to be the lava zone. It's going to be in a higher risk lava zone, and it may be away from. We're going to be farther away from good schools. So you take all those factors in, and that's what's, pushing those prices down. And then the other thing could be that it's probably got some level or significant, otherwise, of unpermittedness to it.
Right. So it's kind of like a risk, really. I tell people sometimes, if you have $200,000 that you don't mind losing, then go ahead and buy in Lava Zone 1 or 2. Or if you really want to build that yurt because you just want to have a place to hang out in Hawaii for a short amount of time during the year that you're freezing, maybe it's an opportunity. But when you're thinking about living here full-time and creating a community around being here full-time, it's they should know what they're getting themselves into.
And
right?
I think it's more important than anything is that they need to be working with knowledgeable people here. Mm-hmm. They need to be having a trusted advisor, a real estate agent that really understands the neighborhoods and really understands what it's like to be here. Because otherwise, if you get out here, if people come out here and they don't have a plan, which a lot of people in this price point, they're coming out here and they're buying on price, they don't really have a plan. Mm-hmm. They are not. We can't help them be successful because they don't know what they're doing.
Right. There's no plan. And that's the reason why we created this video for you, is because we need to have you guys understand that you do need to have a plan. You need to have a realistic expectation of what is going on here. And like Andy said, I think the number one thing that we can suggest to you is to come out and look at this place on your own.
Absolutely.
Right? And if nothing else, look at a topography map on Google and do a little search, and you'll see those little dark fingers coming down the side are lava, and all that brown area is brush and rural experiences.
Well, if you've never been here, not even just buying something in Lava Zone 2, but just if you've not been here, I mean, I have had clients that have moved out here, bought property sight unseen in a neighborhood they'd never been to. And we got to realize we're at the most remote place on the planet. Mm-hmm. So you're 2,500 miles or 3,000 miles away from anywhere.
Right.
And here they are moving across the water to a home that they buy in an area they've never been to.
Right, right. And you guys, this isn't like going down, like where we live, Eric and I live right down the way from us here is a subdivision called Pualani Estates. Anybody can basically say, I know what it feels like to move to a new neighborhood. I'm moving into a neighborhood that there's normal houses, normal way of life. You can go to the grocery store, put your kid in a school, hop right into a pool and call it good. That's not what's happening when you move to South Hawaii. And so, so if you are looking for more information, obviously Andy's great, but just know this information before reaching out to Andy or any other agent that you're trying to, buy houses in South Kona or South Hawaii. And we'll drop his information into the description. And is there something that you want to leave our people with in terms of this topic today?
I think the best thing is to let us help you. Let us help you be successful moving out here. Help us help you do your homework and educate you on the island, because it's great living here. I love it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and you know, we were talking to somebody who was in 50 feet of snow in Mammoth this year, and he said, "I will live anywhere on that island, not to sit in snow." I'm like, okay, there's that. But if you want to be successful, definitely do your homework. And on our YouTube channel, the 365 Hawaii Real Estate Minute, we do talk about a lot of these different issues. We do have videos on lava zones and permitting. So do your research, watch some more videos, and keep subscribe to our channel to learn more about ways that buying a house in Hawaii can be easier for you and a way that you'll be successful. So thank you, Andy, for helping us today learn more
you.
about South Hawaii.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha.